welcome to Rant on Reels. I'm Michael Fooch.
And I'm Xavier Barnett.
Today on the podcast, we do deep dives into Greta, How to Train Your Dragon 3, and our top 10 pure comedies of all time.
Aw, yeah, baby.
Be sure to like us and subscribe on YouTube and iTunes and Apple Play.
Spotify. Apple Play. You mean
You mean iTunes? Yeah, that's what I mean. I want to make sure. I want to make sure they know to go to iTunes, because that's how I listen to us. How do you listen to us?
Oh, I listen to us on iTunes for sure.
Exactly. So I want to make sure that they go into that direction.
Okay, fair enough.
How you doing this week, Xavier?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just living, loving life as usual. Enjoying the nice weather we have up here in Canada.
Nice weather? You mean like a winter disaster?
I'm being extremely sarcastic right now. I'm
just
upset.
making sure.
And
did you hear the sad news this week?
no, I didn't. What was the sad news?
Catherine Hellman died. I don't know if you know who that is, but when I was younger, when I was growing up, my favorite show was Who's the Boss? And Catherine Hellman played Mona, Angela's mother, on the show. It was really sad news. She was also on Everyone Loves Raymond. Everybody Loves Raymond. She played Deborah's mom.
Oh, okay. So now I got a little bit of idea.
Very sad news this week.
May she rest in peace.
Yes. Do you have anything that you want to talk about for news?
Yeah. The greatest DC movie of all time.
Wonder Woman?
No. Aquaman.
Justice League? Aquaman. Oh.
Yeah. The greatest DC. It has his sequel has a release date.
Oh, when's that coming out?
It comes out in about 3 years. December 16th, 2022.
Why are they waiting 3 years for it? It made money.
Give us a nice, detailed, great look into this movie.
Do you think this is a good idea by DC, waiting 3 years to release Aquaman 2?
I don't know. A lot of things that DC does I don't think are good ideas, so I'm just not shocked anymore.
And technically, won't it be 4 years from the release date of Aquaman 1?
Oh, yeah, that would be 4Ds. That is true.
Like, Jason Momoa is not getting any younger.
Yeah, how old is
he's in great shape, but he's not getting any younger.
Yeah, that's a 4-year
he was in Game of Thrones, right? Like, he was probably 30 around that time. He's got to be around 38 now.
Oh my goodness, he's gonna be in his 40s by
the time. Why would you use him? Make movies every 2 years, 3 years at the most. I think this is a mistake.
Hey, it's DC, right? So this is all they do.
Inevitable, they're going to make the mistake, right? Speaking of mistakes, did you hear that Sandlot is going to come back in TV form? Cast 22 years later.
Oh, really?
Yes, really.
Okay, I don't know.
Why can't they just let things go? Like, some things I'm okay with bringing back, but Sandlot's not one of those things. Like, it was a kid's movie. They were kids. I don't want to see them as adults. It will ruin the magic. The reason the Sandlot was good was because they were children. You've never seen the Sandlot, have you?
No, I did not.
Oh, that means nothing to you. I will guarantee some of our listeners will be agreeing with me hard.
No, I don't blame you. It's we'll see what happens. I don't have the nostalgia that you will have towards it, so for me, I will see this with a clean slate.
I know, and that's the problem. A lot of parents fail their children by not showing them great movies when they're younger, to get them to understand the wonders that are the original.
Excuse me, is that a shot at my parents?
A little bit.
Whoa.
You know, it's funny. In class, when I teach English, I start the teaching what plots are by asking the students if they've watched The Lion King, because I figure it's a safe movie that all children have seen, to show plot, like, intro, rising action, climax, all those things. And when I have kids that haven't seen the movie, I tell them your parents failed you.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's fair enough, because Lion King is this huge classic.
You understand Sandlot is on the same level as The Lion King,
no,
right?
It's not.
Yeah, 100%.
Of Lion
100%.
And if I went and asked a bunch of my friends if they knew what Sandlot or Lion King, I think Lion King would beat it.
All right, fair enough. All right, I disagree, but that's fine. Famous movie, no doubt, but Sandlot is an absolute classic. It's
Okay.
on the same league as the Goonies, and I'm surprised that you're giving Sandlot a hard time when it's pretty much the Goonies of baseball movies.
Fair enough. I'll go check out Sandlot, and then I will make a decision.
Any other news stories?
Well, guess who's not coming back to a movie?
That's not really a lot of information you're giving me.
Well, that's because you don't pay attention to the news.
Well,
Mr. Will Smith is now returning to Suicide Squad.
that's interesting because DC has now lost Ben Affleck,
Henry
Cavill, and Will Smith.
It's Henry Cavill, like Durella.
Is it Cavill? I don't know.
I used to say Cavill.
I don't know.
But
it's Cavill. Okay, but either way, they've lost their Deadshot, which is supposed to be like their number one guy in Suicide Squad. They've lost their Batman and their Superman.
Yeah.
And they're not making another Aquaman movie for 3 years.
Yeah, well, they're making a Joker movie.
2 Joker movies. Get this straight.
One's got one. I think the other one's got scrapped, didn't they? The ones
did
with
it?
Jared Leto.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was 3 in the works though.
Oh yeah, there might have been. I don't forget. I don't know what's going on with DC. So their next movies is The Trench.
So wait, they're making the Trench before Aquaman.
Yes.
Is Aquaman going to be at least in the Trench?
I have no idea. So they lost Ben Affleck, but they gained the Trench, so they got those little things. All right, awesome. We got Suicide Squad 2. We got Birds of Prey. And there was supposed to be a Joker Harley movie, but they're not doing that anymore. That was the third one.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. But they're making a movie with just Harley Quinn as the...
I think that's Birds of Prey.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
They're,
So, like, who is Harley Quinn going to be working with in these Birds of Prey?
The Huntress. I think... I don't remember Huntress. I think... Was there a Batgirl movie, or did they scrap that?
I don't...
Scrap too.
Who knows what DC is doing? They're a disaster. And now all their movies are going to be, like, in their own universes?
Yeah, and yeah. It's...
But are we all forgetting that Batman or Ben Affleck was in the Suicide Squad? So are we supposed to pretend that didn't happen?
I guess so.
Okay. And Wonder Woman never met Bruce Wayne or Clark Kent.
I guess so. That's
okay.
Oh yeah, there's Wonder Woman 2 coming out. That might be good. But that has nothing to do with Justice League. Oh, and then there's the Flash movie that's been in development
for 8 years.
Yeah.
Who's lost how many directors?
I think 3.
All right, enough of this news. We just keep ranting about the same things over and over again. Let's get started with today's movies. Which one would you like to start with?
Let's start with one that let's do How to Train Your Dragon.
Okay. Do you want to give the spoiler warning?
Yeah, no problem. So from here on out, there's going to be spoilers for How to Train Your Dragon 1, 2, and 3, and Greta, and possibly all your favorite comedies. So
some of our best lines, or the best lines from those comedies.
Yeah, so please do, if you're not interested in hearing any spoilers, tune out now.
Well, watch the movies and then listen to us.
Yeah, well, that's what the whole point of warning them about spoilers is for. So if you've seen the movie, keep watching and enjoy it.
All right. Now, before we get into the opening thoughts on How to Train Your Dragon 3, have you seen the first 2?
Yeah, I've seen the first 2. I've seen it at work. I worked at the library.
At the library. And what were your thoughts on those 2?
The first one was, I'm like, okay, it's decent. My problem is the dragons are not cool. Like, dragons are one of my most favorite mythical creatures ever, and the way they're depicted in this film is just horrid. It's a big no thank you. They're dumb, they're stupid, dragons are supposed to be extremely intelligent, and these ones are just like a dog.
Oh, like a dog. Really? You don't like it when they turn characters that are supposed to be cool into dogs?
Yeah, I don't.
I wonder if we've had this conversation on this podcast before.
We definitely didn't.
when I said they made Bumblebee like a dog, and you're like, that's not that big of a deal.
Well, difference is I hate Bumblebee and I like dragons, so that's
no,
the big change.
I'm with you. They do really treat them like dogs, not as intelligent creatures, or like intelligent sometimes and not intelligent on others. Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't really like either of the original 2, How to Train Your Dragons. I thought the first one was just okay, and the second one was just more than we needed.
Yeah.
So what are your opening thoughts on this one? How to Train Your Dragons 3.
How to Train Your Dragon 3. Boring. Uh, Big no thank you. Uh, Actually, I'm being unfair because this is a children's movie. So I'll try to put it as an adjective as a child. So, as a child, I can see a child really enjoying this type of movie, right? Like, this is specifically targeted towards children. But as an adult, this is a big no thank you, and I will pretty much unwatchable.
So you think that if you went back 15, 20 years, you would like this movie?
Yeah, as a kid, probably, yeah.
Okay.
I'm saying 4 to 7 range.
It's such a small range for a movie. You know, my opening thoughts are going to be similar to yours. I thought this was very boring. It was a long theater visit. And we got there for previews. Yeah. The movie just felt long. It was long, and it felt long. The characters I really found were not very developed, and we're seeing the same story arc in all three. Instead of moving the characters forward, we're just seeing the characters stagnant, and I don't really like that.
Our problems never really change.
They don't.
It's pretty much, we don't trust the dragons, so let's hunt them and kill them. And Hiccup's like, no, the dragons are our friends. It's pretty much been every 3 movies.
And I really find that the villains, I wasn't a big fan of the villain in this movie. I found the plot really made no sense. And I don't know about you, but did you find a central message in this movie? Because I didn't. That would be my biggest problem with it.
I think the message is maybe it's a big PETA message. We need to love our animals, and if we can't take care of animals, we need to lock them away and leave them all alone. That's pretty much the message.
All right. Well, those. I guess those are our opening thoughts. All right, let's start with the movie. The movie begins with a raid. So Hiccup and his Vikings from Berk are saving a bunch of other dragons that have been captured.
I'm not gonna lie, the armor actually looked cool. At that point, the armor was cool.
I like this introduction.
I was like, okay.
I thought this might have been the best 5 minutes of a How to Train Your Dragon movie. Hiccup lands on Toothless. He's in this really cool armor. The dude thinks he's like a demon.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of comedy to it. Even how like the dragons were saving the day and like the Vikings were kind of useless. It was interesting. I felt there was some action to go with that comedy, and it's a good reintroduction of some of these characters.
Yeah.
So nothing too crazy with them.
That's another thing about this movie. Like, I forgot most of the characters.
Exactly.
Because they don't resonate with you from, like, the first 2. I only know Hiccup and Toothless and the girl that he likes.
What's her name? Astrid, but there you go. So clearly not that memorable.
Yeah. I just knew who she was. I didn't know I knew her name.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with this introduction to this movie.
Yeah, no, I didn't hate the introduction. I was okay. I was good with it from that part.
So I think it goes wrong as they kind of move away from this introduction. So they arrive back on Berk, and Berk has now become overcrowded with these dragons. And we keep all of the Vikings keep telling to Hiccup that, we're just finding more dragons. There's not enough room. Hunters will always be coming to look for them, or trappers will always be coming to look for them.
Yeah, we're putting them all in one spot, right?
Yeah, we're making it very easy
for them to attack us.
So Hiccup's like, my dad once talked about this hidden world where all the dragons come from. Let's go there.
They never talked about that in the first 2, but okay.
Not at all.
That might have been.
But the dad was always going there. That was his end game his entire life.
I thought the dad hated dragons.
He did in the first movie, but then in the second movie, he kind of grows to like him. Like all of the Berk people, right? Berk was always anti-dragon to begin with.
But in the first one, he didn't like... He talked about dragons like he liked them.
No, I think he was going to close the gate forever. Which I don't understand how. Yeah, I don't understand how. I just felt this was a very forced. Like they didn't know how to start the story, so they're like, "Well, let's just come up with some real no good excuse to start it." And I want just out of curiosity, why is the solution to run away from the world?
Because they want to make a sanctuary, and because we
But they
humans
have a
don't know how to.
sanctuary.
Yeah, but it could get attacked, so they went to a different sanctuary.
Okay, I guess.
Just live with dragons.
The other plot that gets developed here, the other story arc that gets developed here, is this marriage between Hiccup and Astrid. Hiccup wants to get married, and Astrid does not. And this will be a continuous
Theme
throughout the story.
The movie.
So meanwhile, while this is going on, the dragon trappers are angry. So they call this guy named Grimmel.
Well, that's his name?
Grimmel, yes. And now Grimmel hates dragons. But he has dragons.
Yeah, but his reasoning was so good. Remember why he used the dragons?
Yeah, the dragons work for him.
Yes.
But if you hate I don't know. I guess that's like slavery, I guess, in a way. I don't know. But he has like one thing that he likes to do, and that's hunt the Night Furies.
Yeah.
Toothless. Right? Like, that's what he wants to do.
was the last surviving Night Fury, right?
So he believed, but he thought he killed them all.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, where has Grimmel been the last, 20 years?
How long? It's been 20 years?
I don't know. He was a kid in the first one. Years, I think 8 years. Okay, 8 years.
Fine. 8 years, fair enough.
Where's he been for the last 8 years?
Yeah, you must have heard that they had a dragon, or maybe he just... Who knows what he's been doing? He was hunting the white versions of the Night Furies? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't.
Good question.
I don't understand it. But either way, when he finds out that there's a new Night Fury, it tickles his fancy, and he decides, yes, I'm going to go after him.
Awesome.
And he's going to use this dragon, the one dragon that the Burkians did not take, as bait.
Yeah.
I'll come back.
That never really went... Well, yeah, we'll go back to that.
I do have a couple questions about that. So, what were your thoughts on Grimmel?
I was like, he does not look very threatening, and his plans weren't the best plans, but it was good enough to trick the other guys. How should I say it? The protagonist. He was able to trick the protagonist pretty well. So we'll see what happens.
We'll talk about his plan in a moment, but I want to kind of talk about. So he releases this white dragon, who we find out is a Light Fury, but now. A Light Fury is just a Night Fury, isn't it? Like,
wouldn't he be someone? Night Fury.
But wouldn't that be what Grimmel is trying to attack? So now there isn't just one. There are two, but he's letting one loose.
Yeah, well, he's letting one loose to bait the other one, right?
Okay.
Which is fair enough.
So,
do we have to? My question is, after he uses the thing as bait, can we let? We're going to go over the part where the very long and dragon parts, those 3 scenes.
So, Toothless meets this Light Fury, and he falls for her immediately. But she's freaked out by Hiccup, because she is anti-human. I guess she's been captured and now is ruined for humans. So, Grimmel, one night, comes and attacks the city of Burke.
Yeah.
And I don't really know what was going on. It made no sense to me.
At this point, you know how like they always have the villain that likes to play with his food before he eats it? I think they're trying to give that idea off for him, but they didn't put any hints towards that.
Okay, but Grimmel comes at night to attack, right?
Yeah. And
he brings his 4 fire, venom, or acid-breathing dragons?
The scorpion dragons? I don't know what they were.
Whatever. He brings them, right? Where were all of the other dragons? This overcrowded Burke. Where were all these other dragons that could smell? Like, dragons have, like, they're animals, right? They smell other dragons.
Like I said, man, they only use the dragon's powers when it's
convenient for their story.
For the plot, right?
And that is so weak writing. Okay. So the Burke people decide to leave to go to the hidden world. Yay! And on their way, they find another area to settle on the way.
It looked exactly the same as the first
area. It really did. They call it New Burke. And we have this crazy long Hiccup sees this Light Fury again, and we have this crazy long mating sequence.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it? You seem like you would really want to talk about it.
No, I do not want to talk about it. I would just prefer to skip
It was like
right
10 minutes of the movie. And what we get is like they kind of like jump around each other. They kind of smell each other.
Yell,
they dance around each other.
Jump on a tree.
Yeah. Toothless draws something in the sand.
Yeah, that was way too long. That drawn. All they really needed to do at that point was say that have her try to fly off, and then Toothless try to chase her, and then say, "Oh, he needs a new tail." That's all they really needed to do.
He can't fly, right? This goes back to the first movie. Toothless cannot fly unless Hiccup's on him. Mm-hmm. So again, she sees Hiccup and flies away, and Toothless can't leave, so he's all sad. So finally, Hiccup's like, "I'm gonna give him the tail. He wants it. He makes this tail." Hiccup flies off. And the two of them, the Light Fury and Toothless, they go to the hidden world. Which leads me to some questions. My first question that I have with this is, what is Grimmel's plan actually?
See, that part I thought... So the whole time when I was watching him, I thought Grimmel's plan was he told the Light Fury to separate Hiccup from... the Night Fury so he could go off and attack her, but he was never following them at first. No, he just let her go like, "Oh, I'm just gonna take the Night Fury." His main objective, whole reason why he joins, to go off and be together so I can attack Hiccup. But as we see, like, they could have stayed in that dragon world forever and he'd never see them again.
I know.
So I don't know.
It's such a flawed plan. But moreover than that, how does he know that the Light Fury and Toothless are gonna get together?
It's probably he knows that the animal's loneliness, right? It doesn't have any. Doesn't know. It thinks it's the last one, and then the other second last one is a so-called female. So he's like, "Oh, okay."
But how does he even know that? Okay, so he releases her, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does he know that the Light Fury is actually going to see Toothless? How is he controlling the Light Fury?
That's a good question.
And here's the question. We find out later that the reason that Grimmel can control his dragons is he uses the poison to give it to them to control the dragons, so they would listen to him. Mm-hmm. So why doesn't he give the Light Fury that poison so she has to fall in love with Toothless?
I guess they would know that he's using the poison.
How? They didn't.
Because it'd have the thing in it, right? They all have those little hoisters, and then he puts it inside their heads.
Yeah, but I don't know.
You'd be like, wouldn't you, if you saw that, you'd be like, what's this needle thing doing inside this animal's head? That doesn't seem natural.
I guess that is true. But either way,
it wasn't a good plan.
It was not a good plan. And the other question I have is, how does the Light Fury know about the hidden world?
I have no idea. That's a good question.
So
maybe it came from the hidden world?
That was my process. That was my thinking process. But if that's the case and she gets freed, why wouldn't that be the first place she would go?
Maybe because she wants to repopulate the world.
But you have to presume there's more night
dragons.
There's more Night Furies or Light Furies in the hidden world.
Well, we went there and there weren't any.
We don't know that. But we saw like thousands of dragons.
Yeah.
That you tell me that one of them couldn't have been a Light Fury or a Night Fury?
Guess not. He's repopulating the world with Fury dragons.
Oh yes, but if there's only two, you know what? I don't even want to deal with that.
Yeah, they're gonna be brothers.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. You got there. For those listeners, if there's only two left and they have 3 children, who are the children going to mate with to repopulate? That's all I'm saying. It makes no sense. So anyways, Grimmel, after he attacks Burke and the Burkians decide to leave, the Burkians kind of attempt to go after Grimmel themselves. Because the Burkians figure out that the trappers are after them. Mm-hmm. So they go, but once again they fall into Grimmel's trap. And one of the twins, Roughnut, is captured. But she is so annoying, Grimmel lets her go, and she leads them right back to New Burke. Mm-hmm. Thoughts on that?
This is where I realize I'm like, this is only funny for like a kid's movie. Like, this is purely made for children. So that's when I realized, I'm like, what is going on here? And then I'm like, okay, this is definitely for.
And I'll come back to this probably at the end, but like a great kids movie is always a movie that can resonate with an adult.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if you're making a good kids movie, there are themes that adults can take away from it, and I don't think this movie does that job. Um, is Ruff not really that stupid? Like I know she's portrayed as stupid, but is she that stupid?
Yeah, I guess she is.
Anyways, so while that's going on, Hiccup is depressed, and Astrid's like, "Let's go find Toothless." So they take Astrid's dragon, and he smells Toothless's journey into the hidden world.
Yeah.
Because dragons are like animals, and they can smell when other dragons are around.
Well, they can smell, and technically that Astrid's dragon is not an actual dragon. That is a wyvern. Do you want to know why?
Okay.
The dragon nerd is about to come out of me. So wyverns have their wings as arms, okay? Mm-hmm. And 2 hind legs. So anything that you see, so the dragons in Game of Thrones, those aren't really dragons. Those are wyverns because they all have arms as wings. A dragon has 2 arms, 2 hind legs, and then wings on the back. That's what the dragon is. And then a drake pretty much has 2 legs, 2 arms, and then no wings on the back.
Okay, I learned something today.
So that's a history dragon lesson from a dragon nerd like myself.
That's fair. Respect that. Respect, man. So, okay, they take Astrid's wyvern.
Yep.
And the wyvern smells Toothless and follows them. So once again, why can't these dragons and wyverns smell Grimmel's dragons when they come and attack?
Yeah. Or smell any dragon scent that left the hidden world. Yeah. And how did the dragons forget that they were from the hidden world? Did they just like...
Yeah, and moreover than that, when they actually get to this hidden world, they find Toothless, and they see all these dragons, and Hiccup's all happy to be there. Oh my god, all these dragons, because Hiccup likes dragons, but all these dragons attack the humans. But if the dragons have never seen a human before, why are they so violent?
Because they want to eat it. It looks like food.
Maybe. Yeah, that makes sense, actually.
I don't know what they eat there, though.
So Toothless, after the dragons see these humans, has to go save the Astrid and Hiccup.
It's funny that they stopped listening to him. Like he was using his alpha abilities like minutes before that, and then he started yelling, and they still kept attacking.
Was it an alpha ability, or was he being crowned king of the dragons?
I don't know, but if you're
either way, it's true. He's the king of dragons.
You gotta listen.
That's actually a really good point. So he's forced to leave the hidden world. And the Light Fury ends up coming with him and is starting to be, I guess, tolerant of Hiccup. Mm-hmm. But as the two come, we see Grimmel has now taken both of the dragons captive.
Yeah.
And he points some kind of weapon at the Light Fury and forces Toothless to tell all the dragons to follow him because he's the alpha, and puts them all into trappers' cages. Mm-hmm. So we've got the final kind of thing, the rescue. So the Burkians attack. They free the dragons. Grimmel uses his mind control to
take hold of the Light Fury.
And Toothless and Hiccup chase them. In the process, Toothless gets hit by something and falls to his doom, and Hiccup gets thrown onto the Light Fury.
Yeah.
He rips out the venom, mm-hmm. and
then he pulls a Gandalf
and basically says to the Light Fury, "Save Toothless." And
then he lets go.
Grimmel fall to their death, or fall into their death, and the Light Fury saves Toothless, and then at the end comes back to save Hiccup. And it looks...
Technically, I don't think he would have died. He just fell in the water.
Yeah, that's a really fall. That water from that height will kill you.
Yeah,
it's like falling on like.
Yeah, but it's a kid's movie. He's not gonna die.
That's true.
They say.
So he Grimmel falls to his death. Then we get to our ending, and Hiccup basically tells the dragons to go back to the hidden world. All you dragons need to leave.
Yeah, Because we don't deserve you, dragons.
What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I guess he's sick and tired of all the problems that the humans and the dragons just can't get along. And this is the third movie. And there's been a guy that's just hates dragons, just wants to kill all of them.
I just think, like, is the message of this movie that humans are so bad, there is no point trying to work together? Like, let's just give up? Oh, guys, we have racism in our planet. You know what? We're never going to change. Let's just give up and everyone. Like, I feel like this is like one of our, like, I don't mean to sound this political, but like I think there's a political message to it that we talk about all this immigration issues. Well, you know what? Let's not work on our problems and communicate. Let's just send everyone away.
Or better yet, global warming.
Go back to your home. Or, right? Like, just go back to your homes, right? Like, I just think
we
that's
can't
a bad
stop
message.
it. Just let it kill us.
I vehemently did not like this sequence.
I know you were very adamant about it. That one.
Vehemently, like, why? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna we're gonna try and live together, right? I thought they were gonna bring all the dragons out and then try and teach humans how dragons live. You know what they should do? They should have just took all the dragons and all the other humans that hate dragons. Just wipe them all out with the other dragons and only have people that love dragons left. I
don't get it. Like, it makes no sense to me. Like, the dragons outnumber the trappers.
Yeah, by a lot. And they're much more powerful. The traps aren't very sophisticated.
They're not.
Like, most dragons can break out of that. Like, I don't know how they held that one with the giant horns.
And maybe the process you should be learning is inviting people from the entire world to Burke, or New Burke now, and showing them how to work with dragons. How dragons aren't bad.
Yeah, he showed his whole village that hated dragons.
Exactly.
So surely he could probably show the world.
Invite ambassadors. Are there always going to be bad people out there? Sure. But don't let the bad people win. It's a kids movie. Like to me, that's the message that kids are going home with. Give up. I don't know. I vehemently do not like this. Either way, the movie doesn't end there. They all leave. Hiccup and Toothless say their sad goodbye, and we're supposed to feel emotional, but I don't really think it's that emotional.
Because you don't care for the characters.
I don't even know if that's the reason. I just didn't feel like it was that sad. Like when
I kind of always knew he could definitely visit him.
Did you feel emotional? Like, honestly?
No.
Now, I'm going to go to another animated movie. How emotional did you feel when Woody and Andy said goodbye?
Oh, that was super emotional.
That's three movies, same kind of characters. In fact, we don't even get a lot of Andy. Andy's in the movie for 13 minutes of screen time. And yet we are so emotionally invested when Andy has to give Woody up. And this movie, these guys are buddies. These guys are in every scene together. They go through way more than Andy and Woody went through, and yet we feel nothing.
That is very true. Well, then again, I have the nostalgia goggles are full on, and that was the time when I was graduating from high school, and then I had to give up my toys and everything, so I was very...
But it's like saying goodbye to your best friend. You haven't had an old best friend that moved away when you were in elementary school? You didn't bring those kind of things back to you?
Well, I just said that it was that happened to me. Oh,
no, it's like best friend.
With Hiccup.
Yeah,
with Hiccup and thing. Yeah, no, it didn't.
No, of course not.
Didn't resonate with me.
So okay, so we get if the movie doesn't end, we go 7 or 8 years later. We got a marriage sequence between Hiccup and Astrid.
Yeah.
And then 7 years later, we see Hiccup
got busy
and his Astrid and his two kids.
Going 2 kids
on a boat towards the hidden world. We see Toothless and the Light Fury with their 3 children.
Whoa, what's going on? I thought this was a kids movie.
And Hiccup or Toothless jumps on the ship, doesn't really recognize a now bearded Hiccup.
Yeah.
And after a second, they all fly around together.
He looked way more badass with the beard than what he didn't have the beard. They should have just gave him a beard at the start of the movie. I would have been like, okay,
and then we get
older.
this 5 minutes of them just flying in the air on the different dragons. Or
that wasn't needed. They could have just said, "Oh, I remember you," and then happily ever after.
Yeah, a nice little hug or just on the dragon for 30 seconds.
Yeah, have them go, "Oh," and then okay. How to Train Your Dragon 3, it's over.
So
that was the problem with one of the Sorry about that.
No, go
That's the
ahead.
problem with the movie, though. There's a lot of sequences that was not needed. Like all the scenes, the maiden scenes between Hiccup and the Light Dragon Fairy. It's a no, thank you.
The length of the movie. You could have
Yeah,
cut some scenes and made it better.
like they're flying together, and then one scene would just showed like Toothless's new power that he obtained, and like that was the only important part of it. But like other than that, the way the sequence to find the it was just oh my god
Oh,
no.
oh.
No,
Okay.
no, 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 no.
So we've already answered some of my questions as we went through this. But here's one question. So in the end, we find out that all of the dragons have left the Earth. I don't understand how this happened. Because in the beginning of the movie, the dragons that were captured by the trappers were not dragons of Burke. They're other dragons from the world.
Yeah.
So clearly there are more dragons on the Earth that weren't in Burke.
Mm-hmm.
So
From different parts of the world, right?
Exactly. What about all the other dragons on the Earth? Why are they still...
Maybe before when he drove, what happened was there was like the last caravan, and Toothless flew around the world using his alpha powers to
But
bring all the dragons
we
away.
find out in this movie that he can't fly for a long time.
Oh,
He needs to take a lot of breaths. Remember, that's why when Grimmel's figured out where they were going, which direction they were going.
Oh yeah, Night Furies can't fly. Yeah, but they could take rest. We can go. They can rest.
I stick with my point. It makes no sense. Just
yeah, obviously. No, I know it doesn't make any sense. I'm
It's a
just trying to
stupid
make
plot
sense
point.
of it.
It's a stupid plot.
It's not good when I have to make up a dumb excuse for it.
It's true, right? All right, my last question really on this movie, and you can feel free to ask me any. I don't understand this movie, the success of this movie. This movie has a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes and an 89% audience approval. What the hell am I missing?
Oh, I'll tell you exactly what you're missing. It is not for us. This is strictly a kids movie, and like I said, for kids it'll resonate with kids. But because like I remember when I at my work, when I worked at the library and we'd show these type of movies, right? The kids ate these movies up, right? Because it's funny to the kids. Like some of the funny scenes, yeah, kids would love that. For me, it's a no thank you. Like kids aren't gonna really look that hard into plot points or anything like that. I know I didn't when I was a kid, so they just want to see. Oh, there's Toothless and Hiccup. Oh, he's fighting the dragons. Look, they're cool. Well, the dragons aren't cool. I don't know what kids think they look cool, but like. Those are the worst designs for dragons I've ever seen. Like a fat dragon. You never seen a fat dragon before in your life. Sorry, I'm just kidding. I'm going off topic here, but like,
Hey, but I ask you this question. I am not going to disagree with what you said, but the kids don't write the reviews.
That's true.
91% of critics like this movie, and 89% of adults like this movie.
I think it. Okay, adults. Okay, I can't explain.
That's what I don't understand. What am I missing? All right. Before we get into ratings, we really criticized this movie. Do you have any pause? Oh, sure. Do you have any questions first?
No, I don't have any questions.
All right. So, what are your positives? What are things you liked about this movie? You personally, not you as a kid.
Oh, me personally, nothing. This movie's unwatchable. I'll never watch this movie again. I hate how the dragons look. I hate how they don't just. Oh my god! Don't even get me started. Just the dragons are just so terrible, and they do not look cool at all.
I guess I have two likes. One is it is for kids at the end of the day, and I do like the first 5 minutes. I really do. It was good. Like it was interesting. I was engaged. We have the opposite kind of Bumblebee argument. I like the first 5 minutes. You don't like the fact that the dragons are dogs. But this movie didn't have the magic of Disney. It was lacking that magic. Mm-hmm. All right, what's your rating of this movie? What do you
give it? 2 scores. As me personally, it's a 2 out of 10. For a kids movie, I'd give it a 7. Like if you're a kid, you'll really enjoy this.
I feel like that's really high for a kids movie, even.
Like if I'm a kid, I don't know.
I guess that's a low. I guess all kids would say 7 to a movie. I guess that would be a low score for a kid.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna go 2.5 on this movie. It is unwatchable. I would not want to watch it again. Oh boy, that's all I can say. That's it. I have nothing nice to say about this movie.
Huh.
All right, that's it for How to Train Your Dragons. Let's move on to Greta.
All right, Greta, sweet, awesome.
All right, let's start with your opening thoughts. What are your opening thoughts on Greta?
This movie felt so long. Like, I really felt that. This is one of those movies where usually I don't really notice the length of a movie, but if I pull out I've never pulled out my phone on a movie before to check how long, what happened. This is the first time.
I call BS on this. I call BS. I've seen you do it before.
No, sometimes I check my phone because my phone gets a lot of messages, and then I'm like, okay, what is this person saying that's missing?
But by you saying that, that means you're saying this is the worst movie you've ever seen in your life.
Not the worst movie.
If you've never looked at your phone in another movie, that means this must be the worst movie ever.
No, it doesn't mean it's the worst movie. I just seen it's the longest movie because I checked the time, right? I've never felt I remember, like, I looked and this movie was 3:30, and I was like, and I looked at my watch, and I'm like, oh, this movie started at 2. It's only an hour and a half. I thought it was like 3 hours the movie was. I've never felt that before.
All right, it was long. I don't mean to interrupt. What other opening thoughts do you have?
But yeah, it was it's okay. It was interesting in the first. I'm not gonna lie though, there were funny parts though. Like Greta, the character Greta was very funny. Like the stuff she would do, I found myself laughing at during the theater, and no one else was laughing, so they probably thought I was a weirdo. But I have a pretty weird sense of humor, so that's just me. And I thought, I'll say this: this movie, I don't think this movie's good, but Chloe Grace Moretz is very good. Like, she's good in this. She's very good at acting in this. I respect her on that, even though I didn't really enjoy the movie.
I'm gonna agree with that statement specifically. Like, I thought this had an all-star cast. I thought Maika Monroe was great in it as her friend. I thought the girl who played Greta, Isabella Huppert, it was fantastic. And again, Chloe Grace Moretz was really good. But like you, I felt it was way too long. It had a 98 minute runtime, and that's 15 minutes too long. That plot needed to be cleaned up. The premise is interesting. Like, I remember I didn't know what this movie was, so I started watching the preview, and after like 15 seconds, 20 seconds, I walked out of the theater. Like, I'm watching this, I'm out. I don't want to know more. But it just dragged on. It just didn't know how to tell the story, or it was, how do I say this? Like, I felt like the story was very cliche. They didn't do anything to really improve on what the story they were trying to tell was. They took the easy way out.
Yeah, this is one, I don't know what the genre the actual genre is called, but this is like one of those typical stalker type movies. Like was the one with Jennifer Lopez with the creepy guy, the
Boy Next Door.
Yeah, Boy Next Door. Like, and
Fatal Attraction being the most famous.
Mm-hmm.
But it's what it is. It's very much that 90s stalker genre. That's what I felt. Okay. So the movie begins with us meeting Frances, Chloe Grace Moretz's character. And she is a waitress at some high-end restaurant in downtown Manhattan. She lives with her best friend Erica. Her mom recently passed away from cancer. She's a bit estranged from her dad, who's a workaholic, and Frances doesn't understand how he can do that and get over the mom so quickly. And one day, she finds a bag on the subway. And at first, she tries to hand it into the lost and found, but it's closed, so she takes it home. And her friend, Erica, she kind of looks through the bag and finds all this money and says, oh, cha-ching, we've got some spending money.
Yeah.
But Frances, she's like, she's good-hearted. She's like, I'm gonna bring it back because there's ID in the wallet. Or sorry, in the purse. So she's like, it's only fair that I do that. What would you do in this situation, Xavier?
Why are you asking me?
I'm curious. I would give it back.
I'd give it back, but I'd take the money and say, oh, so I found this somewhere else.
No, I'm giving it all back, money and everything.
Wow, you're a good person.
I'm a little naive in some cases. I mean, I don't know if I would actually go all the way there because there was the phone number in the bag. I'd be like, I'd probably call him. I found your bag.
But then again, it's funny that you say that because like I left my wallet at the theater once, and it was the New Year, and then someone went and returned that.
Yeah, I was with you.
Remember that?
Like, think about it. Pay it forward, right? Like, just what would you want done to you? Like, I feel like if I left my wallet in the theater, I would, or anywhere, I would hope that the person would be decent enough to, return it.
That's fair enough, because that wasn't the first time I lost my wallet. The second time I lost it in high school, and then I had $40.
That was the first time in high school.
Yeah, sorry. I'm an idiot. But, yeah, and then there was $40, and then someone took it and returned it. I knew they took the $40, so I just expect that if I have money, it's probably going to be taken, but everything else
It's
will be
funny
intact.
when I lost my wallet in the theater once, and I had $40 in it too, and the theater took $40 out of it, and I didn't say anything because I was just happy I didn't have to replace all my cards.
Yeah, that's what
But I mean, think about that. Like, would you, if you would, I don't know. Like, I feel like if it's one of those pay forward things, doing others. Like, I wouldn't want someone to steal mine. I would return it. I'm
That's
fine
why
with
I don't
Francis.
have cash in my wallet anymore, unless I'm going to a nightclub.
So Frances, even though Erica gives her a hard time, decides to give it back, and she goes to meet Greta, and she goes into the house, and Greta's like, "Come on, let me make you a coffee. It's already on the stove," and she begrudgingly goes in. And Greta comes across as like lonely. She's a piano teacher.
Sad.
Her husband died. Her daughter is studying in Paris, so she's a sad person.
Yeah, sad, lonely old lady, and that's everybody's weakness, right? You don't think much of a nice little old lady.
But it's not even that. It's like it resonates with Frances. You know, she just lost her mother. Mm-hmm. She's lonely. She's got all of these feelings, and she can relate.
Yeah.
And as this is going on, as they're having some coffee, there's some banging like from behind the piano, and Greta's like, "Oh, my neighbors are renovating." Like anyone in the theater believed that.
I'm not gonna lie, I believed it. I didn't really I was halfway through. I'm like, oh.
I turned to Javon and I was like, yeah, that's another girl, right?
And then I realized
like,
I'm like, there's nobody else living beside her.
Well, there probably are people like that would be, it could be pretty close, right? Like it's loud banging. Hammers go pretty decent.
Well, if you look where the way the house is set up, there's like no way to have a neighbor.
That's true. So, anyways, Greta is Frances sees this picture of a dog, and Greta says the dog has died too, and she's like, "Why don't you get another one?" She's like, "Well, I don't know, maybe." She's like, I have your number, and maybe you can help me out, because Frances's mom bred dogs, so she knows a lot about them. So they really bonded over this dog. Mm-hmm. So I guess later that night or the next night, Greta calls Frances and is like, "Okay,
I'm ready to get this dog."
So they go to this like shelter, and Greta seems like this really nice person. Like she's like, "Which dog is about to die next? Because I'll take that dog." Mm-hmm. And this was a cute little dog. It was adorable.
Yeah.
And the two of them start bonding over this dog. They walk the dog. They talk together.
Cook together.
Yeah, they become friends. And Frances says she's like chewing gum. Like, you can't get rid of me.
I'll always stick around.
Now,
get the quote right.
Erica warns that hanging out with Greta, or Frances hanging out with Greta, is creepy. And that Frances is naive and Greta's just feeling her mommy role. Mm-hmm. Do you think this is creepy? Do you think this is weird?
I mean, if you look at the age of, for me personally, if I had a friend that was just, like, say his father passed away and he's just hanging out with, like, a super older guy, like just them two, you know, just the boys and everything like that, I would have thought it was weird. But, like, because the way they met was just through, I don't know. For me, it's kind of weird. I guess it was kind of weird, but I guess it's the way the movie set it up, because it always had that creepiness feeling, right? So it may have been the atmosphere the movie set up for me, but
see, I don't find it weird. Like, they're not going to parties together. They're not spending every waking moment together. She has no parental figure in her life.
It seemed like they spent a lot of time together.
They probably did, but not every day. Like, I feel like this movie did a poor job explaining, like, the passage of time. But I really felt that, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it was like a mother-daughter relationship. That's all it was. Like, they didn't talk about anything crazy. I don't think any of the dialogue or what they did together was out of the ordinary.
Yeah, you know what? That's true, because there's a lot of people I know that hang out with older friends, and it's because they have like a mentor or two. Yeah,
there's a lot of people that volunteer at like shelters, older or old age homes, just to kind of make connections. Is that weird?
No.
So I don't know. I didn't find it to be very weird.
Yeah, you know, I see your point and I agree. And you've changed my opinion on the matter. So thank you.
So things do go awry, though. This is a psychological thriller. So Frances is over for dinner one day, and she's like, "You know what would make this dinner great if we had some candles?" And Greta's like, "Oh, they're in the cupboard." So Frances accidentally opens the wrong cupboard, and she sees all of these bags, just like the one she found. And as she's grabbing them, they have like the names of girls and their phone number, including her own. So she gets a little panicked. So she's like, "I'm gotta leave. I'm not feeling good." Yeah. And she cuts Greta out of her life. Completely. So again, this is not crazy. She's not a stupid person.
Yeah, she hasn't made dumb moves yet. Yeah, they all make sense.
Yeah, so it's fine. Like, she refuses to see her again. She avoids all of the texts. She when Greta actually comes to the restaurant, she's like, Frances is like, "It's over."
Yeah, we're not friends anymore. I thought it was so. I feel bad, but I kept laughing every time she would just pop up. She's just sitting there like this.
Yeah, so I don't think this is on Frances at all. I don't see anything she did that's wrong. She saw an old lady. She connected with her, and then she realized she was crazy. She's like, "Yep, I'm out. See you later."
Yeah, I wasn't tapping out at this point.
No, it was interesting.
I was still engaged.
And we have the stalking that starts. So like the first kind of this idea of stalking is she stands on the other side of the street from the restaurant, and like Giovanna keeps saying like, "Why doesn't she just call the cops?" I'm like, "She's not breaking the law." She's like, "Yeah, she is." And sure enough,
she calls the cops.
She calls the cops, and the cop comes and says, "Technically, she's not breaking the law. She's just standing on public property. You need a restraining order in order for her not to come." Mm-hmm. But it takes like months to get restraining order, so that's not going to help either. Yeah. So she's like, "Don't worry, don't pay attention. Just ignore her, and she'll like go away."
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, it does. But she ends up coming by her apartment. She stalks Erica.
That was the creepiest.
I think is the real-time stalking. So Erica's at a restaurant and Frances is at home in the apartment, and Frances gets this text from Greta, and it's a picture of Erica in the restaurant. And Frances calls Erica and is like, she's there. You got to leave. So she's leaving. She goes to a back alley, and the pictures are coming in real time.
Yeah.
It's like, she's behind you. No, she's
taking
not.
Pictures of her on the bus. Like, I don't think those are, like, if you're trying to get in someone's good books, why would you creep out their friend and send pictures of their friend? Like, that's not going to make someone talk to you. But Greta, she's a little bit crazy, as we'll see.
Yeah, no. So I thought that was a really good scene.
A little bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
She throws gum into Frances. Greta throws gum into Frances's hair. She eventually goes to the restaurant as a patron and goes to one of Frances's table and makes a huge scene.
Yeah, super huge scene. Like,
She ends up getting arrested and brought to a hospital. And then, again, they try to get this restraining order, and they're like, it's going to take months. Mm-hmm. Now, Frances does what I think is a stupid idea.
Yeah.
She's worried about the dog.
Well, Erica... Oh, that part. Okay, so yeah.
So Frances goes to the house by herself and sees Greta leave with the dog, and she ends up going through the garbage cans to find a letter from the daughter. Only the letter is from New York and not from Paris. So now, here's the thing. This scene is put in there for the only reason it's in there is so Greta can find out about the daughter. Like... Or not Greta, sorry. Frances can find out about the daughter. That's the only reason. Mm-hmm. Like, it makes no sense. This goes against her entire character, but you're forcing a plot down our throat.
Yeah.
And this is kind of where I start to move away from the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I started moving away after the restaurant freak out. When she freaked out in the restaurant, that's when I was like, okay. Like, I thought it was funny. No, that part was funny.
That's still good.
I meant after that.
So the daughter, Nicola, Frances reaches out to her. She has the number and the address, and they meet for coffee in New York, but it's not Nicola. It's Nicola's ex-girlfriend. And we find out Nicola has died. She committed suicide. And we find out that the mom is actually crazy, that she put Nicola in a box, a literal box. Mm-hmm. She abused her, like piano lessons. She would have piano lessons until she was bleeding. Nicola became an alcoholic, and we find out the mom is not actually French but Hungarian. It was just an act. So after this meeting, Frances gets a call from the hospital saying that pretty much Greta has been released. Mm-hmm. And this is where things get kind of stupid. Frances is actually thinking of moving back to Boston with her dad just because she wants to end the situation. And Erica's like, no, lie to her. Go back to Boston for a week. Take a week off. But go meet Greta first and tell her, like, it's all you. Like,
you just need time to figure it out.
Like, everything's good. So she does. She agrees. And Greta ends up, after finding this, breaking into Frances' house, poisoning her, taking her home, and putting her in that box that the daughter was in. And this box is behind the piano, confirming what I knew, that there was a girl behind that.
Yeah, that's when I was early. Like, oh, plot twist.
So the dad, and after, like, again, we don't know how long, but the dad comes to visit in New York City, thinking that Frances was in the Caribbean with Erica, and Erica thought that Frances was in Boston with the dad for a week.
Yeah, or they went snorkeling, yeah. Right? So I'm like, you go snorkeling
each got
in
pictures
Boston?
Of each other. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, so basically, dad finds out, hires a private investigator, and that's kind of where that is. Then we kind of are around Frances, and Frances now captured. She finds articles of clothing and ID from other girls in this room behind the piano. She's drugged to keep her complicit so that even Greta can sleep in the same bed with her. Yeah. She learns how to play the piano and gets abused when she makes mistakes.
On the hand.
She learns how to speak either French or Hungarian. I'm not entirely
I think it was
sure.
French.
I think it was French too, but I'm not 100%. And she learns how to cook. And when she learns how to cook, she Greta is playing with some kind of cookie cutter, and it's on her pinky finger, and Frances smashes it with the rolling pin.
Rolling pin cuts the... Oh, man, that was...
And it cuts off her finger. Yeah. And then she knocks her out, and then Frances tries to leave like a normal person.
What would you do in that situation?
Kill Greta! It's not even a choice. How she doesn't, like, knock her dead is mind-boggling to me.
That's like those 90s where they, like, shoot the guy in the chest and not in the head, and then they start running and the guy's still alive. That's kind of how I felt about that situation.
I hate scenes like this in movies. They're so stupid. It's false. All it does is give false hope for stupid audience members who haven't seen a movie yet. Because if you've seen one movie like this, you've seen them all. She wasn't escaping. Everyone in there, again, you knew she wasn't escaping, right?
Yeah, okay,
we all
I know
knew
that.
She wasn't escaping. And instead of escaping, she goes into the basement.
Yeah.
Where she opens some kind of bag, and we find out that the other girl...
She kicks the door down for the basement, but not for the
outdoor.
Outdoor to leave. That was my question that I realized. I was like, okay.
Even if you can't escape, like let's say you're panicked and you don't remember to kill Greta, and you try to escape and you can't find the key. Do you know what you do?
Call 911.
Oh, okay, you can't find a phone. Let's say you can't find a phone either. Let's say she doesn't have a phone in her house. She must have. Let's say Greta's got it hidden. You grab Greta, you cuff her to the bed that you've been cuffed to, and you torture her until you get a key.
Oh, that is a good idea too. That's even smart. I probably would have just killed Greta and then tried to leave behind
You could have done that too. There were a lot of options. That's all I'm saying. There's a lot of options. Because once Greta's dead, you can do a lot. You can go get sledgehammers to break down the door. You can go look for tools.
Yeah.
Greta needs to die though. Anyway, but she goes down to the basement and she sees the other girl, the last girl named Samantha, who apparently is still alive.
Yeah. Locked in a bag.
But we never
There's
really
no breathing holes or anything.
Yeah, I don't know. It makes
they never
no sense.
explained that part to
but
us.
But while we see Samantha, Frances screams and Greta comes down and poisons her and knocks her out and ties her to the bed. So the PI comes. That's like the next scene. The PI comes by and he realizes immediately that Greta's a little shady and realizes that there's a secret room. and it's because Francis is making some noise.
Yeah.
To bang on the door. As he's trying to get to the secret door, he's poisoned and killed.
Yeah, I don't know why he... Like, if he knew Greta was shady, he probably would have waited till Greta comes back till you do anything.
I know.
Like, just leave and then...
I know. This is my... If I'm going to talk about negatives, I mean, I could continue with this, but I'm going to talk about my big negative to this movie. This falls into the biggest horror cliche. The biggest horror cliche you can come up with.
No one calls for help?
No. Making smart characters who spent the first half of the movie doing smart things, turning them into irredeemable, dumb characters doing irredeemable, dumb things.
Well, that's very fair.
Like, think about it. A private investigator somehow gets outsmarted by a 65-year-old woman.
Yeah.
Frances, who knows she's being stalked and goes to Greta's house by herself, doesn't at least give the address or information, texting, Snapchatting, something that where she's going, so someone could find her if something bad happens.
That was a very good point.
Like, there's just stupid decision. Knocking her out or hitting her once with a rolling pin and then just
running
around
the house. Yeah. I don't know.
It's the stupid thing. And also, you have Greta, who starts off as this great villain, but then becomes Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
Who just can't be killed.
Yeah, getting hit, drugged, still standing.
Anyway.
Like, I think that one hit on an old lady in a rolling pin would probably have killed her anyways.
Probably.
Like that one hit. Like,
but it's false hope for it's and it doesn't even make it's not even scary because you're like, really? Like, she's not getting out. Because I don't know if you remember, so like the reason she can't get out is the door on the inside is locked with a key. So it's unlike, like, imagine your door at home is you have to use a key to get in. Well, you have to use a key to get out. And they showed that scene earlier on when she finds out about all these bags, and Greta's like, "Oh, you need a key to get out." So we know if you can remember the earlier scene, you're like, "Oh, she's not getting out. Like, there's no way she's getting out." So it's like, what's the point? What's the point of making that in there? To scare us? No, you failed. Anyways, after the PI comes, we find out the circle is continuing. Greta puts another bag on the train. A girl finds it, and she comes over. But we don't see the girl's face. We get the same speech that we got before. We hear the noise.
Yeah, the banging. And
then
hey,
she's
be
like,
quiet, neighbors. Yeah.
Oh, and then we see drugs going into the coffee. And we think the girl's getting drugged. But no. It is Greta who gets drugged. And the girl takes off her wig, and it's Erica.
Oh, the hero of the day.
So Greta takes all of these drugs, that Erica herself says is a lot.
Yeah. She said she was overdosing.
Yeah. She says, I put in, she tells the reason. She put in like 8 roofies in there or something like that. Like a lot of drugs. And she finds Frances, gets her out, but Greta is still alive.
Yeah, Greta grabs her, like, I loved you, but then she falls down.
Yeah, because
and one final, like, scare.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming.
Oh, 100%. And then they throw her into the box, and then they escape. And they lock the box up with an Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
Like, thank you. Thank you for that. Whatever it was that we watched. Yeah. Now, I have a question for you. Okay. Did you think that this movie was going to end with Frances being rescued, or did you think that this was one she wasn't going to be rescued in the end?
Okay, the reason why I thought she was not going to be rescued is because of how long the movie was. So at that point where I'm like, oh my god, this movie is so long, is when she got like after she freaked out and then she got captured, I was like, oh. I'm like, oh, this movie felt like about 2 hours. Oh, I guess this movie's ended. And then I looked at the time, and then I saw the time, like, okay, maybe it's not ending. But at that point, for a quick little second, I was like, okay, it's not, this might end with her being captured.
I knew she was going to be rescued. And there's two reasons why I knew she was going to be rescued. The first is the event, the order of events. If the PI had come first, I would have been more inclined to believe she was not going to be rescued. But the idea is she tried to escape first, and then she gets locked in the room, and the PI comes. It's like the director and writer are really trying to push it that she won't be rescued. Mm-hmm. If the PI comes first because we're expecting the PI to come, we know that's going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. If the PI comes first and we're like, oh, he's not saving her. Uh-oh. And then she tries to escape after that, and you're like, she still didn't get out? There's no more hope. Mm-hmm. So that's the first reason I didn't think. The order of events. If they had reversed those, I might have been thinking a little bit more. The second reason is Erica. So when the dad goes to visit the PI, he's there alone. And the PI says, "Is this the girl?" And she's like, "I never met her." Why? Where's Erica? The dad and Erica know each other, right? Mm-hmm. The Erica would have told the dad the entire story. So why isn't she there? You not putting her there means the entire third act, Erica disappears. She was a major character in the first two acts. Only Greta and Francis had more screen time than Erica in this movie, yet she disappears from the third act. You know she's coming back. When I saw that girl, I knew exactly it was Erica.
Yeah, I kind of figured she was Erica too at that point. Like, well, that's because they didn't show the face. I'm like, okay, this is definitely
why else not? Otherwise, why not show the face? If they had changed it and made Erica in the room with the dad, and switched the order of events, I would have thought she was escaping. I would have thought she was going to be captured and died there. But I think they did a poor job with it.
Yeah, 100%.
Do we need more in this movie? And if so, what?
I think we need less, to be honest.
Less of that, but don't you want to know what happened to Samantha?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the one thing. I want to know what happened to Samantha.
Don't you want to know what happened to Greta in the end?
Well, I reckon Greta's probably going to jail, or she's dying.
I guess that's true.
Like, she's probably dying from the drug overdose, to be honest.
Do you have any negatives? My negative was the cliche. Do you have a negative on this movie, like a specific negative, other than it being long?
Negative is like your negative was, the cliche of characters making dumb decisions. After that, I was like, okay, here we go. Like, I was engaged up until, like, the restaurant freaked out, and then after the restaurant freak out, the characters started to get a lot dumber. That's when I fell off of the movie.
I can't deal with that. Like, if you're going to make them dumb from the beginning then. Mm-hmm. Don't make a smart character and then turn them dumb midway through the movie because you want to tell a story. Mm-hmm. If you're going to make them make a dumb decision, make it make sense to the character. Like, you can't have her paranoid, like she's looking at camera, smart enough to look at camera, smart enough to do this, mm-hmm. and then be like, oh, I'm going to go to her house by myself and not tell anybody. Any positives?
Oh, yeah, like I said, Chloe Grace Moretz was great in acting in this. Like, when she got captured, she really played terrified really well. Like, I actually fully believe that she was terrified. And I'm not gonna lie, Greta was pretty funny, like, the way she acted. Like, the freak out, the whole stalking part, the way when she just, like, this is just like you, old and disappointed, or something like that. And she just throws the glass on the ground. And then she started dancing with the PI. Then she said some of the mean. I'm not gonna lie. The one line she said to the private investigator was so mean, where she's like, "Do you have any kids and family?" And he's like, "No." Well, that's a shame. No one will care if you die.
She answers it. Doesn't she answer it? She answers for him. No.
I thought he said so.
I thought she was having a conversation with herself.
Oh.
It may be.
Well, anyways,
I think it's better that she had a conversation.
Better.
Too bad.
Yeah, well, even then, she just says that. That's the last words he hears. Is no one will remember you, and then he gets 2 shots to the head. Mafia style.
My positive, I have 2. The acting is 1. And then the first half. I really like the first half of the movie. I think it has potential. And I'm not going to blame the movie for the writing. I'm not going to blame the whole movie for the poor writing choices in the third act. Mm-hmm. Okay. What are you giving this movie out of 10? Let's end this up.
I'll give it a 6. out of 10.
What's higher? I'm gonna go 5.5. I'm gonna say that the plot is where it loses all of its marks. The acting and the concept and the premise are what saves it.
Yeah. In the first 2 acts, like you said, they really
There's
they're
potential.
pretty interesting.
There's potential. It could be better. And again, it follows that 1980s kind of story of this stalker with all this psychological thriller cliches, and instead of getting rid of the cliches and writing a good movie, they stick with what worked in the 1980s, but it didn't. It didn't work in 2019.
No.
All right. That's it for Greta and the new movies this week. It was a bad week for movies.
Yeah. It was not a good week.
Thankfully, next week there's a nice big one coming out.
Oh, aren't you excited?
A little bit excited, a little bit. All right, before we get into next week, being the first week of the month, we do our top 10 list, and our top 10 list for this month is our top 10 comedies, our pure comedies.
Pure comedies. Okay.
All right, Xavier, I started off last month. You start off this month. What is your number 10 pure comedy?
My number 10 pure comedy is 22 Jump Street. It's even funnier than the original one. And honestly, what puts it over the original scene for me is pretty much when Ice Cube they find out that Jonah Hill's character is sleeping with Ice Cube's daughter. And the funny thing is, Ice Cube even dabs him up for it right before, because he doesn't know. He's like, "Oh, you scored last night? Nice, man." He's like, "Yeah." The next thing you know, finds out that it's his daughter, and then there's like just the scene after that, like the scene where they're eating at this food place, and he's just all pissed off, and like, oh man, it was just great.
Or the next time when Channing Tatum finds
Tatum
out too,
yeah,
and he like just like goes around the entire precinct that Jonah Hill slept with Ice Cube's daughter, and he sits back down, and all Ice Cube does is turn the gun.
Yeah. Oh man, it was great. Those movies made me really like Channing Tatum a lot more. Yeah.
You know what? There were 2 scenes in that movie I almost fell out of my chair laughing. My number 10 movie is Team America World Police.
Whoa.
From 2004. And I gotta say this. What didn't this movie have to make you laugh out loud?
Amazing.
Puppets, puppet sex, great great songs like Team America, Beep Yeah.
Matt Stone
Parodies
and Trey
of
Parker.
actors, the guys who brought you South Park, no political correctness, and some of like the references, like the Mos Eisley from Star Wars. It just, I quote a lot from this movie, but I literally can't because this is a family thing, and pretty much everything has inappropriate things. But like things that some of the fantastic lines that you can't say are great. But I always think of like Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Or Hero Hans. Our friends would say that was our thing in our friend group for such a long time. Or the Durka. Or
I forgot that.
Durka Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Or when the whole Gary Johnson speech about like America being, penises and the actors being vaginas and Kim Jong-il was being the butt.
That speech could it's funny because that speech you could actually put it to real life. That's how amazing that speech is.
Or like how you have to be distracted for 6 hours. I've got Alec Baldwin. Oh no! But Alec Baldwin apparently gets quoted that movie, and he loves it. Like he quotes back, and apparently George Clooney and Matt Damon are what got the Trey brothers, or Trey Parker and
Matt Stone.
They got them to do South Park, so they wanted to be in that movie. They don't look at that as negative. They like that. So I don't
respect to them on that then.
Oh yeah, but you have to, right? You have to. I know Sean Penn was a little butthurt over it, but some of the other actors. You gotta own it. That's a classic. I love that. I can watch that anytime. I play that song on my iPod all the time.
America, can't say it on podcast.
Yeah. All right, my number 9 movie is a little bit older. It's from 1933. It's called Duck Soup. Now, Duck Soup is a movie starring the Marx Brothers. Now, I don't know if any of our listeners actually know who the Marx Brothers are, but they are probably the greatest comedy act of all time. They're brothers. The three major ones are Groucho, Harpo, and Chico. And they play the same kind of stick in all their movies. Groucho is kind of like the talker, Chico's the dumb guy, and Harpo is like the silent actor that uses props and doesn't talk. Mm-hmm. And Duck Soup is their greatest show. And like some of the lines, like, I can see you in the kitchen bending over a hot stove, but I can't see the hot stove. To the girl he's trying to, like, get with. Mm-hmm. It's like, will you marry me? Did your husband leave you any money? Answer the second question first. It's one of my favorite movies from the 30s. The mirror scene where, like, the mirror breaks and they have to kind of act out each other. It's very famous from this. The plot is just nonsense, but it's just funny. It's just a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. It's laugh out loud. I show this to my grade 10 students all the time when I want to show them what the 30s were like.
Okay.
I'm done. Your number 9 movie, Xavier.
My number 9 is Tenacious D, Pick of Destiny. So, this is one of these movies for me. It's a Jack Black movie. I love the music in this. It kills me, like the song Kickapoo, Beelzebub. Those songs just resonate with me. It's hilarious. It's just a nice story about a guy trying to start his band, become the leaders of rock. And it started a nice little band. They actually had a little bit of a band and have other songs after this that were really good. But yeah, this movie just made me just howl. My number 8 movie is, I don't care what anyone says, but I love this movie, Bridesmaids. That movie just does not, like, I got Kristen Wiig. I think this is the first role, like, Michelle McCarthy really branched out at. Like, just, Michelle McCarthy just made me howl.
Melissa McCarthy,
Melissa,
buddy.
Sorry. My apologies.
That's bad.
My bad.
She clearly resonated a lot with you. That you remembered her
definitely.
name.
Listen, okay, it's 2 M's. I got M. That's good enough. You know, you get one, all right. But yes, her character just could not make me stop laughing. Even like when Kristen Wiig's just really drunk on the plane, and then they're like, "What are you doing out here?" Like, it was just amazing for me.
I gotta lie, I'm not a big fan of either of those movies.
Really?
No, not really.
See, like told you. Yeah. On the ride here, we're gonna have different opinions.
Yeah, my number 8 movie, it's the most recent movie that's on my list, is from 2012, is Ted.
Ted? Oh.
Now, everything I loved about Family Guy, I saw on this screen. Great story, great references, a touching story. Like, it was emotional. Like, when Ted, gets ripped up in the end, like, I felt for him. Like, I didn't cry over it, but I definitely felt. It's hilarious from start to finish. There's some great guest like people in it, like Patrick Stewart as the narrator, Ted Danson, who makes fun of Woody Harrelson, smallest penis he's ever seen, right on the Cheers kind of thing. I love the Thunder Buddy song. I love Ted. I think he's just so funny. The fact that he has sex with his coworker on the produce. And he gets promoted. Mila Kunis. The best scene in this movie is when the poo on the floor, and when Mila Kunis and Mark Wahlberg come home, and like Mila Kunis loses, is that a poo on the floor?
That's the one that they have the crazy house party in Flash.
Yeah, Thompson. Flash Gordon's
Flash
in it.
Gordon. I kept saying
good.
Flash Thompson.
So good. It was fantastic. So that's my number 8. My number 7 is The Other Guys from 2010. I gotta be honest. This is where it became really hard for me. I could easily move this up. It was so funny. You have Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell together, and their chemistry is fantastic. And although they're great in this movie, it's the side characters that are so good. Michael Keaton, I think, steals the show. The TLC references, the fact that he works at Bed Bath & Beyond, The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson as partners, and they're like on top of the building, and they're like, "You thinking what I'm thinking?" Aim for the bushes, and they just props each other, and they jump off this like high-rise building to their deaths. Like, who saw that coming?
Yeah, I thought
we've got like, I'm like a peacock. You gotta let me fly. The tuna speech. The fact that Mark Wahlberg shot Derek Jeter, and we find this out, it's like, you shot Jeter. He's like a black angel. Why couldn't you shoot A-Rod? The fact that you have Will Ferrell playing a straight guy, and I think this is good for him. Like, he normally plays like the crazy, out of his mind dude.
Yeah, goofy dude.
And you have this by the book guy. He drives a Prius. All women love him. Like, they're all like, every woman on the planet is like, I need to sleep with this guy. He doesn't even notice this though. He's like, no, they're nothing.
Yeah, they're not attractive.
I like the one line, like the Will Ferrell, like after an explosion, he calls BS. He's like, this is BS in movies. Star Wars, I'm calling BS on this. And Mark Wahlberg's like, you don't dare badmouth Star Wars. That was all accurate. Just a great story. It's nonstop, hilarious. I could watch that any day of the week.
Wow, that's great to hear.
All right, what's your number 7 movie?
My number 7 movie is also a Will Ferrell movie. It is Talladega Nights, Ballad of Ricky Bobby. I freaking love this movie. This movie is 100% hilarious for me. Just classic line, if you ain't first, you're last. And then he finds out that his dad's like, man, I was super drunk when I said that. I didn't even mean that at the time. There's lots of other spots, right? There's first, there's second, and third, right? It's just funny. And then seeing them do the shake and bake comment, like, "Oh, you ready to do this? Shake and bake, baby, shake and bake," right? And then one of my other favorite lines is like, he gets caught on fire and he's just screaming, and then Sacha Baron Conan's in it. He's freaking hilarious in that too. He's like, the way he says Ricky Bobby's name in the French accent. Ricky Bobby, and then he just talks super slow and everything. Like the way he just talked was hilarious for me. And my number 6 movie was Superbad. And I'm not gonna lie, the first time I watched this movie, it was I was supposed to study for my grade 10 exam in class, but I decided to watch this movie on an iPod instead. And this movie was great, really great for me. Jonah Hill was obviously super funny, Michael Cera, but we can't all forget the great
McLovin.
McLovin, the classic character, right? It's nice to see how they all branched out. Jonah Hill's really branched out from different roles, but like these are the roles that got them together, and like I freaking love that movie. Even Seth Rogen's.
I was gonna say, you forgot like Seth Rogen was hilarious.
Yeah, he was
and
great.
Bill Hader.
Oh yeah,
they were the 2 cops.
Yeah, wow, this is a great movie. I forgot.
Emma Stone was in that movie.
What a big movie.
Yeah. My number 6 movie, I combined my number 6 movie. The Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2. Feel like that's a fair thing to do. They're both hilarious. These are classic movies. They're from 1990 and 1992, and they hold up today. They're just as funny. And there's a reason why every Christmas you can watch both Home Alone movies all the time, because they are so funny. Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern are hilarious as Harry and Marv. They are so funny. The stories are great. The traps are great. The lines are great. The everything about these movies are great. I always think of like we talked about our Christmas movies, Home Alone, the brick scene where like he just throws bricks off the roof. I think those are hilarious. I don't know why. Kevin using the video, the raunchy video in the first one, the pizza delivery boy, and the second one for the hotel staff, where it's like he starts naming off, I've been mushing or snooking with like Cliff and all the other people, and there's a Cliff and the security guard's like, not me, it wasn't me. Or like when Kevin just tells him, you guys give up or you thirsty for more, and Marv's like, never! Or Marv, never! So funny. Everything about those movies are funny. I watch them every year at Christmas. My number 5 movie is Bad Santa. Another Christmas movie, I guess.
Oh, whoa.
Billy Bob Thornton at his best in this movie. And you don't have time to stop laughing in the first one. Like, every character brings something to the table. You have Willie, you have the kid, you have the mall workers and John Ritter and Bernie Mac, God, R.I.P. for both of them. Marcus, the Sue, the Lauren Graham's character, who's just like, beat me Santa, beat me Santa. The relationship between the kid and Willie throughout the movie is hilarious. This kid is such a loser, and it's so funny because he plays him so... That actor, you could never do anything else in his career, but he played that role like that was his Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Like, he was fantastic in that movie. All he wanted was a pink elephant doll. That's it. The scene where they're boxing... the dialogue, again, I can't say half the dialogue, but it's so funny. So that's my number 5 movie.
All right. So my number 5 movie is Old School. So another Will Ferrell movie and Vince Vaughn. And I love Old School just because it's just classic comedy, just pure classic comedy for me. It's just the way... Why are you looking at my list?
What? I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at you.
Okay, good. So one of my favorite scenes is Will Ferrell. He just got married. He's watching through the window. His wife's just like they're learning how to pleasure a man, and the one guy's teaching them. And he sees that, and he's like, "What's going on?" Because he just sees his wife going down like this, and he just sees the guy just standing there. He goes in, tries to fight the guy, and then the guy ends up beating the crap out of Will Ferrell. And they're like, "What are you doing, right?" The fact that they caught him streaking down the street.
We're going streaking!
Right?
We're all going streaking!
He goes back, nobody's there. Or one of my favorite scenes is like Blue's about to fight, and then they're just like, these girls are naked, and he's like, oh, and then I think he just dies from just getting a boner again. So like, I just love that movie.
If you're the earmuffs, like classic earmuffs, right?
Oh yeah,
all I gotta do is say
earmuffs. You gotta say that. You can say whatever you want now. My number 4 is you gave me this idea because I was debating which one I wanted to put on, but I'm gonna do a fusion because I really like both. Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, and Harold and Kumar Escape with Guantanamo Bay.
Just not the third one.
Yeah, no, not the third one. One of my most favorite scenes, and this isn't from Guantanamo Bay. Well, I'll tell you my favorite one with what's it called, with White Castle. The first one is Neil Patrick Harris is freaking hilarious in this. Like, I was howling. One of my favorite scenes is like he's just sitting there. Still laughing at this.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, when you tell the story, you're laughing because they're so funny.
When he's sitting in the back of the car and he's like waiting to and just starts humping. It's like who does that? That part was just great for me. And my second favorite scene is from Guantanamo Bay, where they have a meat sandwich, and they're just so is every guard in here gay? And they're like, hell no, ain't nothing gay about getting your things. Like, just the logic they tried to talk about it just killed me. Oh man, those movies were great and classics. So really enjoyed watching those.
You even say the best part of both those movies, NPH.
I did say Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh, did you? I totally missed
right
it.
at the beginning. I took one of the scenes was with him where he was helping the car seat.
Right. So good.
Wow.
I'm sorry. When you were saying those two movies, I think they're hilarious. All I was doing was playing some of the scenes in my head. So I'm like,
yeah, no problem.
So my number 4 movie is Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. This is obviously Jim Carrey's most signature role. And again, this movie is just one that holds up today. Great story. You have Ace Ventura, who is this pet detective, looking for the Miami Dolphins mascot before the Super Bowl. And then eventually Dan Marino gets stolen too. And some of the classic lines, alrighty then, or do not go in there. Woo! when Jim Carrey finds out it's Ray Finkel that's probably has committed these crimes. So he goes out to Ray Finkel's place and he knocks on the door and says, "I'm looking for Ray Finkel." And the parents hold a shotgun and a clean pair of underwear. And he talks about how he's a huge Ray Finkel fan. You go into this room and throughout it's like hate for Dan Marino laces out, everything like that. We find out that one of my favorite lines is Finkel and Einhorn, Einhorn and Finkel, Finkel and Einhorn, Einhorn and Finkel. Finkel is Einhorn, Einhorn is Finkel. Einhorn's a man. I kissed a man. And then he goes and throws up in the toilet, and as he's explaining to all the cops that Einhorn is actually a man, and he says, "This is why Roger Padaker is dead. He found Captain Winky." And all the police officers who've kissed Einhorn throw up. So funny. And then Reno asks for a stick of gum, and Ace Ventura's like, "That's none of your business, and I'll thank you for staying out of my personal affairs." And how he drives with his head out the window. Oh, so funny. I watched part of that movie after I made my list because it's so funny.
That's great.
My number 3 movie is Dodgeball from 2004. And just every time I think of this movie, I just think of if you can dodge a wrench,
you can dodge a ball.
You can dodge a ball. We talk about all-star cast. You have Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn, Rip Torn, Stephen Root, Alan Tudyk, Justin Long. The cameos in this movie, Lance Armstrong before he was disgraced. Just a great plot. Just the big Jim versus the little Jim, right? And you have this Vince Vaughn character who owns the little Jim, Average Joe's, and he just doesn't care. Like, whatever, we lose the gym, and all of his the people that come to the gym, Alan Tudyk, he's so funny. But all of the people who go to the gym are like, "No, we can't lose the gym," so they decide to create a dodgeball team and do this tournament. And then you've got Ben Stiller's character, I believe his name is White. Yeah. Creates a team of incredible people to try to make the money, and he's wooing Kate, who's actually his real life or was his real life wife at the time, which made it even great. Everything about this movie was fantastic. Again, I'd say some of the lines, but they're not really appropriate.
Yeah.
What's your number 3 movie?
My number 3 movie is your number 10 movie, Team America.
Yes.
So Team America resonates a lot more with me than you. I think this is probably going to be the only movie on our list that's going to match. That's both going to be on there. I love Matt Stone and Trey Parker's work. Those guys are probably geniuses when it comes to comedy. So Team America, this movie, just everything I love about South Park is in this movie, right? It's just the yelling, just the dumb decisions that a lot of people make for no reason, just over exaggerates. The one guy's like, "We're upset with Team America. How do we solve this? Oh, I'm gonna blow up their headquarters." Why did they do that? Or the long speech, what's his face? Oh my god, I can't believe I forget the character's name. But the main guy, Gary goes and he has to pleasure another man to get back in the good graces of Team America, and then after that, Boz, I believe his name is Boswin. He says this long speech about how he did that for America. But like I said, we already went over the best speech was in the bar where he's feeling sorry for himself and he explains how everybody's a penis, vagina, and a buttocks. Great, that speech. I still listen to this. Some days I'll just pull up that speech just for a great laugh. That speech is it was just way too funny.
The entire movie is just
it was just great. I love that movie. And my number 2 movie is used to be my number 1 for a long time, but now that I thought about it, it's not my number 1 anymore. It's Step Brothers. This is by far my most favorite Will Ferrell movie. Is them at their best. John C. Reilly, Will Ferrell, amazing. All the laughs, get out of my face, you curly haired. I'm not gonna repeat the last word, but or the fact that the one where they get into an argument with one of the interviewers because they have to get a job, and they're like, it's like, you sound like an idiot right now. You don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I'm the idiot. You guys dressed up in a suit to go clean bathrooms. I just could not stop laughing at that. The movie's just Will Ferrell at his best, and I don't think he'll ever be able to top that performance, in my opinion. Him and John C. Riley. I can't say it. Oh my goodness, just great. Even the premise, just the whole two super old men just trying to be acting like man babies. Oh my!
This is gonna be ironic because I have one Will Ferrell movie really, and on my list.
Yeah.
But I don't like 2 Will Ferrell movies made your top 10.
It was technically 3, but
what was the first?
Old School.
Oh, Old School, yeah.
Talladega Nights.
2 of them is a star, one.
And Step.
I have 2 technically, but one is anyway. My number 2 movie, I have Vince Vaughn is in 2 of my top 3 movies.
Oh, really? Wow.
So my number 2 movie is Wedding Crashers.
I know this would be up there. I was waiting for it.
What's not to love about this movie? Great plot with 2 guys who just crash weddings, and some great characters, great actors. The 2 guys, Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn, they go to the wedding of the summer, and they meet 2 girls, and both of them are invited to go onto a house party for the weekend after the wedding. And Owen Wilson's character, who's met Rachel McAdams, is like, I want more time with her because I didn't close the deal. And Vince Vaughn's like, my girl's crazy. I want to get out of here. But they decide to go. And when he's there, Vince Vaughn has a lot of problems. He gets shot. He gets crushed in playing football. The Jane Seymour, the mom, hits on him. The brother hits on him. Nothing goes right for him. And Owen Wilson tries to get on with Rachel McAdams. The supporting cast in this movie has Christopher Walken. It's got Bradley Cooper in one of his earliest roles. Jane Seymour, Will Ferrell. And the irony of it all is, after this party, it's Vince Vaughn who falls in love, and Owen Wilson gets sent home for a bit. So it's really funny, Mom, meatloaf. So good. My number 1 movie is Happy Gilmore. It's probably the comedy I've seen more than any other comedy ever. It's Adam Sandler at his best. It's still so funny today. It's a hockey player who ends up becoming a golfer. And I mean, a lot of hockey players play golf, but not quite like Happy Gilmore. And I ask this question: who golfs and has not tried the Happy Gilmore swing at least once? We've all done it. It's amazing. I always like the I eat pieces of blank like you for breakfast. You eat pieces of blank for breakfast? No. Just the line with Shooter McGavin, which is a great antagonist. He's so good. Ben Stiller as the orderly who abuses all the old people. The happy place, the scene that we talk about. The go to your home. That's your home. Bob Barker. The price is wrong, bitch. I think you've had enough. No, now you've had enough. Just the fight between the 2 of them. The alligator who eats Chubbs, the guy who trains Happy's hands, and Happy sees him and he beats him up and kills him and gives the head to Chubbs, who falls off the roof and dies. Oh, so funny. Julie Bowen plays Virginia in the movie. It's just nonstop laughs. You have to watch it at least once. It's so good.
My number 1 movie is Borat. I freaking love this movie. This movie, to me, is probably, every time I watch it, I cannot stop laughing. This is just nonstop. Trolls, just the fact that, all the time, when he just first comes into the... when he first comes in, he's in the subway and he's introducing himself, and people are just like, get the F out of my face. He's like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. right? And then he just lets the chicken loose, and everyone's just like freaking out. Or the fact that like they have a huge problem with Jews, so they realize they're like, apparently the Jews have used their shape-shifting powers to turn into nice old ladies and a nice old man. We have to get out of this house immediately, right? Like, or when he says and the fact that like he did these sketches and like he didn't know, like, because apparently one of the sketches, like when he said that the national anthem out loud in that Texas ring, he did not know if he was gonna live or die in that situation. Like they were so upset. It was just, I don't know. Sacha Baron Cohen, like, he's super hilarious to me. I suggest if you guys do like his comedy, watch This Is America, because that is our What Is America. That show is freaking hilarious right now. It's probably my favorite show on television, next to Game of Thrones, of course.
That's your number one movie?
Yeah.
How do you find that funny?
Oh man, that's like I told you, my humor is very different from yours.
Yeah, apparently. other than Team America, I mean, I like a lot of your movies. Don't get me wrong, but like Borat's the only one I'm like I mean, I get Will Ferrell. Like a lot of people like Will Ferrell, but Borat's just.
Well, Borat to me, like me and my brother, like that kind of comedy that just resonates with us. That's like kind of like semi-realistic, and just seeing how people react to that. Like it's just. Sacha Baron Cohen's really good at that, so I really like his work for that. Mm-hmm. So I'm a big fan.
I think I'd be curious to know what the audience think. Which side do you like more? What kind of comedy do you like more? Mine or Xavier's? What any honorable mentions?
Oh, there'd be too many to mention. Like Ted, you said, Dodgeball was up there. There's one movie I really liked was Problem Child and Problem Child 2.
So
I love
good,
those
Problem
two
Child.
movies.
John
those
Ritter.
Movies were great.
So good. It's my party.
And I'll cry if I want to. Oh man, like that.
So
as a kid, I watched Problem Child like crazy. I
God.
was fighting. I'm like, should I put this in or not? That's one of them did not make it.
If I had seen that more recently, I think I found this. I don't know about you, but I found this the hardest top 10 list that we've made. Like I had a really hard time with this.
Yeah, I really enjoy comedies. Like I think my 3 favorite type of movies is mob movies, fantasy, and then comedy. So like those 3 really. It's hard for me.
If you asked me to remake this list in a year, I might have 10, maybe not 10 different movies, but maybe 5 different movies on this list.
Yeah.
And the order might be complete. Other than like Happy Gilmore and Wedding Crashers and Dodgeball, those are pretty. Even Ace Ventura, those are hard to come through. But it was
top 3 will probably stay the same, but anything else is game after that. Right?
My honorable mentions, I had Austin Powers. Is something I really thought about.
See, Austin Powers, when I rewatched it wasn't as funny anymore for me. Good. That's the thing. Like that, I loved that movie growing up, and then I rewatched 3, and I'm like, I don't know, it's not funny for me as much anymore.
The Hangover was one I was really trying to fight. This Is the End. Like probably the most recent comedy. I just never stopped laughing.
You know what's funny? We barely had any Seth Rogen movies on here.
And Dude, Where's My Car is the last one.
Oh, Dude, Where's My Car? That's great.
So good. All right. Well, that's our top 10 movies. I hope you enjoyed them. And again, please feel free to comment in your comment. Leave your top 10 movies on what you think are the 10 and what we're missing on our list.
Yeah, and if you think our list sucks, please let us know.
Well, Xavier's list is really easy to suck when you have Borat as number 1.
Listen, Borat. A lot of people find Borat funny. Just because you don't find it funny doesn't mean you have to put other people down.
I'm not putting you down. I'm just
putting people down, and I'm sick of it.
All right. Well, that's it for us this week on the podcast. Next week we're going to be talking about Captain Marvel. You excited, Xavier?
Yeah, I'm excited, and don't forget, I'm also excited because we're going to be rewatching Rush from the Vault and talk about that as well.
Yes, I
haven't seen that movie in a while.
The F1 season's about to start, and our producer has said we had no choice but to review an F1 movie, so we chose. He basically pushed us into Rush. So.
And I'm not complaining. I like Rush.
No, I'm not either. Rush is a very good movie. All right. Well, don't forget to subscribe and like us.
And don't forget to like and comment as well.
Have a great week, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.